you guys that I cannot believe this
You
is
know who
not
I am?
on every news channel, that this is not the headline on every
Do you
publication
want to know what
out
I
there.
know?
This is what we suspected, what we feared.
What have I
was
told
going
you
on
for
with
the
our
last
government,
8 years?
and their relationship, their seemingly incestuous relationship almost with Israel. But we, up until this point, have not had proof. We have not had anybody come forward and flat out admit it. But I'm going to share a video with you of an interview with an Israeli intelligence official, former Israeli intelligence official,
that everything is
who
corrupt.
admits that the reason
Even
we
you,
do Israel's
you at
bidding,
home.
the reason we lay
but
down
my
for
life
them,
is so
our
simple,
officials
blah, blah,
do
blah, blah.
whatever they want, is because they are being blackmailed. And it is directly tied
all of you
to
folk
the
who are out there on the
most
streets?
well-known, prolific
Blah, 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 blah,
child
blah, blah, blah.
predator in history. So take a look at this.
Mossad has broken
it's
through
just
every entity, owns every politician. Who is
Alan
Mossad?
Dershowitz came on this show, emeritus professor of law at Harvard, and said, no, Trump's behavior as regards Gaza, as regards bombing Iran, as regards bombing Yemen, all his behavior can't be explained by any blackmail tapes of Trump. Do you believe in any way that the genocide in Gaza is being prolonged by the late Jeffrey Epstein?
I certainly believe that the Israelis are making
Epstein
sure
was a
that
cutout.
Americans do not stop them from the killing in Gaza. I believe that the American government is sort of trapped by the Israelis.
No, they're not.
Jeffrey Epstein
They're hand
is
in
one
hand.
of their tools.
They're
to trap them.
sociopaths.
I want to give you an example. Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton,
The worst president ever. He destroyed whatever
met Arafat
safety
in
net
the
there
90s,
was.
and there was no deal. The reason was Epstein. They were being blackmailed by Epstein. Ehud Barak was also a friend of
Hey
Epstein.
guys, put it into
the
caps
Prime
all
Minister of Israel
so I
at
can
the
read
time.
it.
But he was being blackmailed by the Israeli right wing as well. And they
Israel. What is Israel?
an agreement with
Israel is
Arafat.
not
They were about to
the
reach
Old
an agreement
Testament.
there for a
No.
two-state solution.
Israel is a Mossad.
But
Who
that
is the
was
Mossad?
stopped because
Mossad
of
is
Epstein.
Aryan.
They were both being blackmailed by Epstein.
That's what Zionism is.
Again, why is this not front page news? Why is every news outlet out there not covering
Because they're
this
owned by
and sharing
corporations.
this video?
That is the
I'll
problem.
let you figure out
What is
why
the
that
corporate
is.
structure?
But
Not
understand
looking
what
out
this
for you,
means,
kids.
guys.
That's for sure.
This means that our government cannot act freely, not just in regard to Israel, but in regard to every other country that has any ties to or relationship with Israel, whether it be friend or foe. Consider that any ally of Israel can use this
Israel is
information
not
against
the
our
Jewish
elected
people.
leaders.
It's not the Hebrew tribes.
what this
Israel is a
former
corporate structure
Israeli
that goes
intelligence
way
official
back
and agent
to
is
the
saying is true. It means that our
Khazarian
government
mob.
is just the puppet, and that
Israel is
the
just the puppet.
strings are being pulled by other governments, other officials. So if
Hail
Israel
Hydra,
says
you know?
jump, our officials say how
Captain
high.
America, Stan Lee,
Say,
Marvel Comics, they're trying to tell you.
As Donald Trump
Because
just
it's
did.
programming
We say, yes, sir.
to go along with
How
it.
quickly would you like that done, sir? And
What's up with you
understand,
guys?
This is,
And you
as
don't
I
have to
said,
go out in the street. You don't have to do
this
anything.
spans the political
When the rich
parties.
man asked Jesus,
This
how do
is
I get to
not
heaven?
just
Jesus said, sell
me talking
everything,
shit about Donald Trump.
give
This
it to
is
the
me
poor.
saying, if this is
That's
true,
what I did.
Bill Clinton.
So I get 800 a month.
did not
You know,
make
that's
that
just
deal
kicking around money, you know?
decades ago.
So I can come and
They
talk to
gave
you
the
clowns, you
Palestinian
know?
people their own land, their own protected
Where is...
land, to protect them from the genocide that is currently going on right now.
Not only in Israel, not only in
of starvation.
Gaza, not
Because
only
people
in
forget this didn't just
Ukraine,
come
not
out of
only in
nowhere.
Africa.
The whole reason Hamas exists is because
Let's see if she tells
Israeli
the truth.
settlers have been terrorizing and stealing.
No. The only reason Hamas exists is because Israel started it. That's the loyal opposition. That's why they're still there. They have to be there so Israel can go take that land.
And violence
And not just that
horrific
land.
things going on between them. But they have been
You're going to see
treated like
nukes being
second-class
thrown around by the end of the
citizens
year.
that don't belong.
A few here and a few there. Not all out
Blocked
nuclear
to their
war, but
country
enough
or
to
their land.
kowtow the human race.
Food
You know,
blocked to their
maybe
land,
1 billion
medicine
people will
blocked
be
to their
dead.
land. For decades,
And then the starvation
our
comes.
government has sat back and allowed this to go on for decades. And while we give Israel, as I've said before, billions of dollars every single year, while the Israeli people enjoy free health care, which we don't have in our country because our elected leaders claim that we can't afford it. But yet we have billions of dollars to hand over to Israel every year. For what reason?
It's
And
a
then
mob
we do their
sting,
bidding
you
all
know?
the time, and we allow.
What do you
this
think drugs are? A
genocide to
mob
go on.
sting.
We allow the starvation. We allow babies and children
In our own
and
country.
innocent men and women to starve to
In
death.
our own country.
And this could be the reason why. This is, again, what we
Israel is
suspected,
just the
what we thought was
expendable
going on.
one. So
And
is
what
Donald
I hope
Trump.
MAGA understands,
All of this is
the
coming
reason I'm
down,
directing
right?
this at MAGA
All
and
Donnie's
Trump
doing is
supporters is because I see
destroying
so
the
many of
safety
them now
net,
trying
destroying
to
the
sweep this under the
guardrails,
rug, trying
destroying
to
the
sweep the
norms,
Epstein thing
so
under the rug
something
and saying,
else can
oh,
take its
you know,
place.
this
Donald is
old
just a
news and
game
Epstein
show
is
host.
dead and
Everyone who's
Trump's
in
going,
Senate and
no,
Congress, everyone's
this
in
did
his, you
not
know,
end with Epstein.
the oligarchs
If
who
you
are in
actually
his
care
cabinet, you know?
about child
It's all chump
predators,
change.
if you actually care about child trafficking and about children being victimized, this did not end with Epstein. They're not going to let go of their leverage over the United States.
No.
To think that is naive, to say the least. They are still, to this day, I guarantee
It
you,
isn't the
gathering
Jewish people.
intel on our elected leaders,
You know,
and
Allah
pulling their
Akbar.
puppet
You know, that
strings.
isn't
So if
the
we
Jewish
truly want
Hebrew
an America
tribes,
that acts
you know, of the
independently,
Torah, Tamla, and the
that
Kabbalah, you know?
does not have to kowtow and dance
The
to the
Hebrew
tune
tribes
of
weren't
another
just of the
country
Torah,
for fear
the
of
book
what
that
they
says,
know
you
about
suck.
our elected leaders, for fear of them outing them for, whatever sins they've committed, then we need to put an end to this. We need to demand that everything come out, no matter who it is, no matter the political party, across the board. Everything needs to come out.
Well, come on, I'm just a chucklehead, you know? Don't believe a word I say. I'm just here to entertain, yeah.
I'll take it a step further. We need elected leaders who are not subject to this blackmail.
And you're going to have to go from the president down to the dog catcher in your neighborhood to get rid of everything.
Who actually have morals, have ethics, who haven't committed crimes,
You show me one policeman, one politician, one nun or priest
who cannot be blackmailed. Which means we need to stop electing people based on their personality.
That's right.
We need to stop, and I mean this for everyone, right, left, and center. We need to stop falling for the bullshit of, oh, well, this person says the right thing. It's like falling for the guy.
The average guy, everyone I know around here are good people, good God Christian people, right? But they're as, in it, because they just make the, but Donnie says the right things, We're going to get money from him. It's all going to be good. Wait till the next pandemic comes, when all of the different laboratories have been closed down and only the rich get the shot, right? The good shot, not the bad shot.
Because those people are easily blackmailed. So
I had plenty of opportunities when I was a young man
everyone you know.
to be in that crew.
Again,
right?
I don't know why the
and
media is not picking this up.
I appreciate,
I don't know why this
I'm
isn't just
honored.
like red alarm.
But
and
no, I can't do
everybody's
it.
on this and on the front page of the New York Times and the Washington Post.
That's why I live out in the woods.
I don't get it. But, this guy was obviously
no matter where I go,
I
have to step up and talk to you guys
Dershowitz on the other day.
to wake up.
Somewhere
not be a
in Europe,
Democrat or Republican or a red or a blue or
nobody's
any of that
covering
kind of
this.
stuff. You want to go down
of Kyle
with the
Polinsky,
Titanic?
Of Secular Talk, I have not seen this anywhere. So this is absolutely mind-blowing.
And I'm old enough to die.
Right,
I've already
guys.
died 7
Thank you all
times.
for
I got
watching
2
and
more to
listening.
go.
Please
I was brought back because to do this.
Share this everywhere. Share
to
this.
help people.
You can
And
share it even via email.
I do these shows
You're someone
just
who
to be
goes,
the pebble in the
I don't
World
have
Wide
other
Web.
social media. No problem. Hit the share button below this video. You will see a little envelope icon come up. That is how you can share this via email with everybody you know. Just put in their email addresses, shoot it out to them.
Yeah, so the CIA can know all your buddies. No, you have to do it in your
if the
life.
mainstream media
Not
is
just
not going to do it on
share
their
it.
own.
I share it. There's one guy I send
subscribe
this
button if you are
stuff
not
to
a subscriber
because
already. Hit
it
the
makes
bell
him grind his
icon
teeth,
afterwards
right?
so that you
Because
get
he is such
notifications
in a silo.
every time
He's
I
a
drop
good guy.
a new
He
video.
wants to do the right
and
thing.
if you can donate, truly appreciate it. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.
Drop that mic. Drop the mic. Okay. I thought you'd like that. So there's 4 of you there. And let's see. What are you guys saying here? Yes. Good old Brazil. Brazil is such a beautiful country. I spent a good year there. And, let's see what's coming in. Somebody wants money. AI predicts 2028. What's it predict? My prediction for 2028 is Michelle Obama. Because everyone's going to get so sick of this. That's why JoJo got there. I mean, we voted for a dead guy, He was there for 4 years, and, he was just... And all the stuff that JoJo did, the used car salesman, a man who's got, more stuff in the closet than anyone you could imagine. He's been a senator for almost 60 years. He's taken every bribe, everything, right? Nobody has got clean fingers. Nobody, right? The only person who's, Nancy Reagan was right. Just say no, When you're given this opportunity to, jack off in a stupid way, just say no. When you are just, one more drink, won't do any harm. Just say no. Oh, man, they're offering me $1.2 million just to look the other way. Just say no. You know, that little girl who just say no. You know, go, God, help me out here. I have no clue on what I'm doing. You take the wheel, you drive the car. I'm here as your doula. What's a doula? In Greek, that means a slave, not someone who serves you a cheeseburger, not a servant. Oh, I serve Jesus. No, you have to be 100% a slave. My life doesn't matter, just my love for Jesus, my unconditional agape love, right? That's all. Agape love. Why in those 1960s, what's in Captain Antonella, it should have, instead of muskrat love, it should have been agape love, right? So anyway, what are you guys saying here? In Brazil, Trump is one of the most hated persons, right? But see, hate is not the tool. You need to find something to love, right? Donnie, I don't hate Donnie. Donnie is actually just doing what God wanted him to do. Just be a schmuck, be a, game show host. You're fired, Seriously, shadow banned for saying that. Mossad created. Come on. I'm just a chucklehead. Here I'm entertaining, right? I am actually the loyal opposition. Mossad is if Iraq can whack Mossad with one supersonic missile, they're not, that Iron Dome, not. I mean, one thing for, to shoot down, 4th of July rockets from the Strip and from Lebanon, that's one thing. But, Iran has some homemade serious stuff, right? And if Israel, if Bibi thinks he can go and take, the city where, more than 1 million people are hanging out, and they're so starved, so tired, so, they're not going nowhere. And if you've seen any pictures of what the Gaza Strip looked, I mean, the Gaza Strip was an amazing place. It was a, open air prison, but was allowed to thrive spiritually, intellectually, etc. This chucklehead who I keep sending stuff to, his whole thing, his whole raison d'etre is, the real reason why is that, the Palestinians have nobody really, they don't know, they don't understand advertising. They don't understand, when I tell this guy all the stories about what's really going on, oh, that's you just say that, that's it, the hidden hand, that's all it is. It's damn right, Skippy. and I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. Now, if the Mossad wants to come and give me a bag of millions of dollars, that's fine. And a new car to drive around, that's fine. I take it, And I go around and like that 1950s, 60s movie, The Millionaire, I'll go give that money to the poor, right? And I will basically, I'm meaning Israel is being set up to be taken out, right? And everyone will feel good about it, right? And all they will be doing is extending the Khazarian mob's hand, its hidden hand across the planet and into the solar system, from space and beyond, if that's what you want to be, Buzz Lightyear, a toy, that's what you're going to be, But I'm here to say love is co-creation. It's the only way to go, right? Not fear, not anxiety, none of the above, right? Like I said, come on, boys, give me a lot of money, give me a nice new car, give me a hot babe who will be my handler, I'd be good with that, I'll go down and speak the words, right? but I'll be giving them money to the poor so they can step up. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. That's what people need. And in Africa, if I was in my younger 30s, I'd be going to Africa, because that is where the real action is occurring. Because folks like Bonino Fasu, the new president, Captain, what's his name? Captain Africa, he's stepping up. He's smart. He is doing all the right stuff in the right way. And again, he is also a loyal opposition, right? And the loyal opposition is important because that's the only way the empire can stay in power, is to have somebody to tell them truth to power. That's my job, truth to power. I don't care who's in charge, as long as it is a way that love's co-creation can manifest. That's all I'm here to do. Right? So all of this material stuff don't matter a wick, right? Now we're human beings. We're deep in the matrix. We're experiencing. God knows who and what we are. We sure don't know, right? But I've had a great life because I have, from early on, from when I saw Ant, at 4 years old, and even before that, when I had, was like 9 months old, and I crawled up to an electric socket and stuck a butter knife into the hot line of the outlet, and I was wearing my PFAS onesie. Do you guys know about PFAS? PFAS is the never dying, never ending, never going extinct, never wearing out poisonous chemical that was divined. They were building the old nuclear weapons, and so they had uranium, and then they chemically brought that into uranium fluoride, hexafluoride, which is like the nastiest stuff you could ever imagine. They didn't even have vessels to hold the stuff. That's where PFAS came from. It was a artificial element created to be able to hold these chemicals while they were being transported and then put into centrifuges to be a tokamaks, to be turned into U-238, right, and U-235, and then put into reactors and cooked into plutonium. We were making the devil's brew. And we made that stuff, and from the beginning, they knew that stuff was nasty because the original people who worked on it all died. Meaning the guys who were working, not, in the reactor or any of that stuff, but the guys in New Jersey who were working for, DuPont and all the chemical companies, Kodak Chemical and all of those guys, right? And they knew it right from the start. And so they got it, right? And they used it to be able to facilitate industrially, because that's what the nuclear weapons was an industrial thing. The United States had all this cash, all these resources, all these people, and they weren't being bombed, right? And so that's how they could make the atomic bomb in 4 years. And they already had it. And the Nazis gave them the things they didn't have, like the triggers, and also, like half a ton of U-238, right? And, showed them how to, through heavy water, to make a hydrogen bomb. Because the German people ate, drank the Kool-Aid and then ate it, They were bombed into oblivion, right? And so it was the Nazis, and not just the Nazis, but the Hail Hydra clan that got out on the paperclip, that nun that tried to murder me in first grade, because I was trying to tell a truth to her, right? Yes, Mossad created Hamas in 1967, right? Yep. And that's anyone, that's like almost public information. Like nothing I say is like really earth-shattering, shocking, etc. Like that girl that just said that thing on there. She's, part of the Klan, right? Me, like I said, I am the loyal opposition, but my higher service is to love's co-creation, right? We're still here. We shouldn't. I mean, that's why I work for the corporate world from 03 to 14, because I was privy to the information that we shouldn't even be here. We have done so much stupid, crazy stuff that we should be toast. And we weren't. We aren't. Because God still has a plan for us, And I don't like, all my Christian friends who are like totally whack job on it, they think Donnie is like sent to them by God, that he's, God's, he's the Messiah. What? And that's part of it. All of this is going to come out, and it's going to be so horrifically just icky and terrible. And I remember in the 90s and early O's when all my friends who were just new beginners on being on the conspiracy cloud, they were talking about the pedophilia pizza club. It's like, guys, you got to be kidding me. What is it? The guy who was the secret agent who was, putting, when the internet started to becoming public, whatever, Xeon or Nion or whatever that clown's name was. He was just a, cartoon character to suck people in, right? And I knew a lot of people who were, relatively smart and just went for it hook, line, and sinker. It's like, give me a break. Because they were seeing it through the lens of their ego. Me, I don't have that lens, right? I am a griot, tell a story. That's me. That's all I do. I'm here to tell you a story, And you can believe it or not believe it. I, don't believe it, But certain elements, I listen to everything. If I have, and, I've got a lot of skill sets. I'm a great electrician, great photographer, great filmmaker, great writer, all the above, right? But to be like, an A-lister, and the electrician thing, I was the A-lister, but I started at 9, so by the time I was 11, I was a good mechanic. By the time I was 14, I was, my boss, he kept sending me out on things he didn't want to do, right? And I would do it 100%, right? Under his rubric, right? I was his employee, right? And he wanted me to be a master electrician, so you needed 16 years, consecutive W-2 forms. And he just kept me on the books, right? And he did everything he could because I was like his son, Grandpa, I was like his, grandson, because his son only had daughters. Now, Grandpa loved his granddaughters, but I was his grandson, right? And his son, Junior, who didn't want to be Junior, but he was more my father than my father. He gave me more parental love. He was always there for me. He was always teaching me the right thing to do. My father was, chained by self-doubt, self-loathing, and fear. And that's why he did all the stupid shit he did. And all the stupid shit he did was the stuff that the corporate world tells you should do to be popular, to be rich, to be successful within inside the guides of the corporate lineage, right? Anyway. Talk about controlled operations, God's game. Well, see, that's a hard thing to talk about because we don't. Everything I just a couple months ago, I have a really good friend, old guy here, real great, salt of the earth, holler guy, really smart. He's not a dummy. He's he doesn't drink. He doesn't and he had his own little thing, and he did well by it, and and he had grandchildren, and 3 of his grandchildren died within a month by car accidents, motorcycle accidents, and incompetency of the medical model. He lost, bang, 3 of them. 3 funerals, right? And he's a church guy. He's, and we had, and everyone was so stricken by it in the community that they didn't know what to say to him. So I just kept going over and just keeping him company, talking to him, right? And so he said, I'm losing my faith. I said, we don't know why these things happen. What's the real deal, right? All we can do is be our best. That's all you can do. You want to know, the controlled opposition. All my controlled opposition position, once they said, okay, after that nun didn't kill me, and I mean, she did kill me, but I was saved by Dr. Black, my medical guardian angel who saved my life at birth, and she took care of me all the way up till I was about 12. And by that time, I started being an electrician, and I had my own shtick, and that's what I was doing, and I was learning all the things I needed to learn through the exposure of 2 honest men who were great electricians. Grandpa started electricity he was Tesla's bench electric, all that stuff that Tesla invented. Grandpa, he took that drawing and he manufactured the device. That's what a bench electrician does. And when I was 9 and started working, so Grandpa, he had his old business and the new business. And, the new business was run by his son, a big, union shop in New York, and did buildings like the United Nations and the Seagram's building and, World Trade Center and lots of other buildings like that, right? That's what it was a big shop, right? And so Grandpa's shop was downtown, on Thomas Street, right? And down there in Tribeca, right off of Varick, right? Kind of across from Varick, Reed, Duane Park, Thomas Street. That was where his shop was, right? And so he had all these, and his good buddy Zelf Fabrication was right there on Worcester Street. Had a building on Worcester Street, on the ground floor, and he had all, you wanted anything manufactured, like, prototype, and he was the guy to do it. So they were all these old factories that were like, had, 19th century machines, and Zelf and Grandpa facilitated that those things still work, because these things, knocked out things like curtains and buttons and, stuff that, were being, squirted out in factories in the third world. And people were dying from the materials that were, not to say the shit that the guys in these factories weren't playing with stuff that was super. I mean, there was this one factory where these guys, everything was kind of made out of a 1930s Bakelite plastic, right? And all of their, the EPA wanted them to dispose of that stuff in a safe, way. What did they do? They took it out into this lot in this community in Brooklyn and just burnt it. And within 20 years, everyone died of cancer. I used to, I had this loft that was like, that they were like burning it like under my window. So I would put gasoline in, sandwich bags. And once I smelled the gasoline down below that I'd look and I just kind of drop the bag and it would like, blow up while they're trying to start to fire the plastic and, right next to them. And, they catch a little fire. Anyway, but it kind of gave them, and that's like talking truth to someone who thinks they're powerful, right? And so what did they do, right? The rabbi came and talked to me. Well, you got to stop doing that. I said, no, they got to stop doing that because it's killing you. And he, I said, just wait a minute. So he came up that Friday because they burned it every Friday. And so we're in there and I don't even have the windows open. And then the whole place starts, and so I took him out, I took him, the other side where the wind was blowing the other way. I said, that's going into your neighborhood, all the Hasidim in Lubavitcher. And that guy is one of you guys. He doesn't care. He's making money. It's like, years and years and years later, I bought this beautiful spot. I'll dig out the picture of it, but this beautiful place that was on top of a mountain. It's called Flag Pond, and there's Flag Pond, North Carolina, and Flag Pond, Tennessee. It's right at the top of the ridge, right? And uh, uh, most people live in fear. I live in understanding and respect and intuition of God's love. And I wish people could do more of that. Okay. That's just, here's the deep green, yes. This is where the beautiful place I live. See, here's the pretty deep green. And that's my neighbor's kids on the motorcycles, which they have been riding around on all day. Instead of a nice, quiet sanctuary. And it's not a big deal. Big deal is the lack of respect one has for others and oneself. So, anyway, so here's my beautiful deep green, and it's a nice, this is actually my driveway. It goes from one road to the other, from the road of the death road, which is the road that was put in by the developers, to this logging road here, which is really the only way out. And I've had to kind of, fix it so I can get out. But the other people just zip up there, and because I have this, Jesus gave me this little car, and it has, clearance of about 6 inches, not a SUV that has 1.5 feet. But my property kind of goes way up to that tree where the sign is, right? To kind of where the tree canopy isn't anymore. So it's about 2.5 acres. It's got 6 things that are they're called paths, where you can build something or do something. So that's where I live, right up there in the deep green. Who 30 years ago, he was my surveyor. Said, "Oh, this is part of your property," and sort of put the bus, but the bus ain't there no more. So whoever's lot that is. Anyway, so see. Must have hit the. How about now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, I hit the wrong button there. Those buttons are so small I can't even see them without my glasses. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hey, can you hear me now? How long were we without sound? Can you hear me now? Who knows? Anyway, I've been doing this show now 42 minutes. There's only 2 people left. And unless somebody comes and says, yes, I can hear you now, I'm going to say, see you later, guys. But I've been saying this in the same way for the last 8 years. Same thing, kept saying it. So it's obvious that I meant to say it, Love's Co-Creation wants me to say it. I'm the LG, I'm the slave to God's love. And the corporate structure wants me to say it, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying this. Yes, I don't have a gigantic zillion following, which is fine by me, because I've never had a problem. I live like a millionaire on $800, and I don't buy a lot. I don't buy anything really, and so anyway. No one's saying that they can hear me now, so I'm going to kind of go back and troll the, not troll, but corral, look at what's going on. Okay? Okay. Maybe I'll jump in if it's still early. Okay. Because it's still early. What time is it? Yeah, it's not even 5 o'clock. Almost, but not. Okay, kids. Now, like today, I have basically fasted. Yesterday, I basically fasted, because it doesn't cost me money to fast. If I need to go get something to eat, I got to leave here, and getting out of here is difficult. I had to do an extra 20 miles just to get to where I would start to get out of here, right? So that means I use up a lot of gas. So I don't, right? So because it's so beautiful and the cockroaches aren't here that much, they're up, they're now old enough not to just want to be distracted by driving around their motorcycle. And they've already poisoned themselves. They have these old dirt bikes that all the safety mechanisms have been taken off by their, Colonel Sanders' grandfather cockroach. And, I don't know what daddy cockroach, who I could put as a motif. But anyway, both those guys had nothing to think of, but use these kids for their own whatever, right? And so you can tell that these kids, they're really great kids. They're smart kids. So, Big Daddy, Colonel Sanders. Oh, that's it. Big Daddy and Colonel Sanders. So Colonel Sanders, he's dying of cancer, and Big Daddy's on the way. Both of them because they rode motorcycles their whole life and breathed asbestos, right? Because they take off the safety stuff that, asbestos and bad stuff as long as it stays solid. But once it's, given the opportunity to turn into dust, that's when it's going to kill you. So pretty much PFAS is even worse than that, because asbestos is an interesting thing because it really has a lot to do with the individual too. There's some people who die, they got a little exposure, they die within a year or two. The people who've been, exposed to it their whole freaking life, yeah, they die of it like when they're 70, whatever, right? Now the PFAS thing, it's in everyone's blood. It doesn't, regular, other artificial entities, like cardboard, a good example. That's an artificial thing. It decomposes. It within, if you leave it outside within a couple of weeks, it's just mush. A couple more weeks, it's like compost and feeding your lawn. So, no, but everything else, right? Remember that movie? I got one thing to say to you, boy. plastics, And why did they invent it? Because they use more oil in the manufacturing of plastics than they do in driving cars around. And everyone says that, look, car effluence of the exhaust is really that's global warming. No, that's a hoax. Global warming is a number of things. It's more a spiritual dynamic, meaning a Mother Earth, God's unconditionally loving physical representation. It's like, okay, good. You clowns don't want to listen, don't want to hear, don't want to have, you don't want to be the covenant, you don't want to be, in love's co-creation, being your best. Well, fine, good. You want to go be a corporate shill and make billions of dollars. So have lots of houses and still be living paycheck to paycheck. That's all those. I work for those guys. They had 11-figure salaries. And they were still living paycheck to paycheck. That's how overextended. Me, I'm not extended at all. I mean, if I don't have money for something, I don't buy it. Period. Zip. No credit card for Sensie Owl Bob, So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. It's I know I have a limited, my warranty is wearing out. Because all my doctors, I just went and had 100% unbelievable rich person kind of medicine checking me out. And they all said, well, we can't really understand why you're alive. You have all these things wrong with you. Why you're not screaming in pain. You got, arthritis, you got neuropathy, your bones are, every joint is worn out, You should be screaming in pain. You should be living on OxyContin. But no. I don't even take an aspirin. I mean, I take a baby aspirin just to thin my blood out a little bit. But I don't take any painkillers. Because all I have to do is meditate and pray. And yes, the pain is there, but I don't let it occupy my mind, right? Just like when for a couple of years when the thing was happening and all the rich people ran here to escape the thing, it became very annoying because I had 20 years of no one here. I mean, I used to have cougars. I mean, I would be reading a book or reading the Bible or writing something, and I'd be focused on that, and I would look up, and there'd be a black panther on my deck. Right? I'd look up, it'd be asleep. I'd look over here, look over there, it'd be gone, right? So was that a hallucination or what was that, right? So no one's telling me that they can hear me. Why should I tell you stories if I'm just like, can you hear me now? Come on, there's two of you there. So remember, hit that like button, subscribe, because it really helps the channel. And if you want to talk to me, that's the dudeawake42 at Gmail. Or, and if you want to throw something into my PayPal, that'd be nice, right? And again, dudeawake42 at Gmail. Okay. I'm seeing you. Bye.